Hey y'all, a lot of people have asked me recently, what is transgender? Because you say your kids are transgender, but they're not what I thought transgender meant. I think a lot of people my age and older, or maybe just people in general, um, maybe if you don't know transgender people, and the only depictions you have are maybe in movies and TV shows from a long time ago that were really problematic, you maybe don't know what that means. So I'm going to give you a gender vocab 101. To give you some common terms related to gender so that you have a general understanding of what all this stuff means. I want to be clear, I am not in the LGBTQ community. That is not my lived experience. I'm not a medical or clinical professional. I am sharing what I have learned as the parent of transgender kids, and I want to share it with you. So there are 5 main concepts related to sex and gender. Sex, gender, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. So sex refers to the physical, biological, or genetic characteristics that define people as male, female, or intersex. Intersex people are born with sex characteristics that can't be classified as typically male or female. So when we're born, a doctor takes a look at us and decides whether male or female goes on our birth certificate, and that's sex assigned at birth. So when I was born, a doctor took a look at me, decided I was female, and put that on my birth certificate. So I was assigned female at birth. Now, gender is a lot more complicated than sex. Gender is actually a social construct. It's a set of expectations from society about the way people are supposed to act and behave and think, that kind of related to their sex assigned at birth. Each culture has a set of these standards and norms and expectations that are related to gender. Most cultures are based on the gender binary, male and female, and certainly in the United States, our culture is based on the gender binary. And most things fall under male and female. So like bathrooms, most public bathrooms are men and women. Clothing sections of stores, it's men, women, girls, and boys. Haircuts are typically gendered, and as long with gendered prices of haircuts. The toy sections of stores are mostly gendered, and certainly toys are marketed to either boys or girls. Grooming products, mostly marketed towards women, and then there's the men's section that's like black packaging. A lot of people confuse sex and gender, like gender reveal parties. That's a party when an expecting couple wants to find out whether they're having a girl or a boy. But really, they're finding out the sex of their baby, not the gender. So they probably should be called sex parties, but that's probably not appropriate. And gender reveal parties are problematic anyway, but we can talk about that later. So a good way to remember, sex is about biology, anatomy, and chromosomes, and gender as a whole is about society. So gender identity is a person's deeply held internal sense of being male, female, some of both, or neither. Gender identity can correspond to or differ from a person's sex assigned at birth. And the language that a person uses to express and communicate their gender identity can evolve and shift over time as they understand themselves better and they gain understanding of their gender identity. And as they gain access to a broader gender vocabulary, maybe by going on the internet or talking to people or just learning more. So some examples of gender identities. Cisgender refers to people whose gender identity corresponds with or aligns with their sex assigned at birth. So I was assigned female at birth. My gender identity is female, a woman. Those are the same, they align, so I am cisgender. Transgender refers to people or describes people whose gender identity differs from their sex assigned at birth. Many transgender people will transition socially or legally or medically or all of the above, but not all do. And certainly not all in the same way. Everybody's got their own journey, and at different pace and timelines, and even at different ages. So some examples of these. I have a friend who has a transgender girl who was assigned male at birth, lived life as a boy until 17, and then realized that she's a girl. And so now chose a girl's name, uses she, her pronouns, dresses in a more feminine fashion, has a feminine haircut, wears makeup. So she has transitioned socially. I think she's transitioning legally, so changing her name and her gender marker, which is like on your official documents, like your driver's license and your birth certificate, it says male or female, so she's changing that to female. I don't know if she's transitions medically. The mom has not told me, and it's none of my business, so I don't ask. I have another friend who has a transgender boy who was assigned female at birth. Lived as a girl until 3 years old, and then started saying, "Mommy, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I'm a boy, I'm a boy. Did you know I'm a boy? Mommy, I'm a boy." And this went on for, I think, a year or two. And so then his parents helped him transition socially. So he uses he, him pronouns now and dresses in a more boyish way, and is on the boys' soccer team at the Y, and just lives life and is a totally normal, typical first grade little boy. So non-binary describes people who don't identify as exclusively male or female. Non-binary people may identify as being both a man and a woman, kind of somewhere in between, or somewhere outside the gender binary altogether. So it helps me to think about gender as, well, for sure there's more than two genders. Gender is this like infinite 3D universe and not on a straight line between male and female. There's just an infinite number. Two of my kids are non-binary. So Indigo was assigned female at birth, and then in 9th grade, Indigo came out realized that they weren't a girl and they were a boy, and so they're non-binary, and somewhere else on the gender spectrum. So they changed their birth name to Indigo, started using they, them pronouns, and which, by the way, I know those can be hard for some people to use. They're unfamiliar and they may feel kind of funny in your mouth when you're saying them. But just an example, the way we use them is Indigo is going to the store. They are taking their car. So that's how you do it. So their twin Maddie was assigned female at birth, and this past fall they started questioning their gender identity and realized that she's non-binary. So Maddie uses she, they pronouns, which for Maddie, she uses those interchangeably. So gender expression is the way that we express our gender to the world. It's our public or our social gender. It's our physical appearance, our clothing, our hairstyles, maybe even our mannerisms or behavior. This is our public gender, what's on the outside. So an example, I have a typically feminine gender expression. So I wear feminine clothing, I sit like a woman, I talk like a woman, I wear jewelry and makeup and carry a purse. So my sex assigned at birth, gender identity, and gender expression all align. They're all the same, but they don't have to. They can be all different. So maybe someone was assigned male at birth, identifies and is a woman, their deeply held internal sense of gender is a woman, but maybe their expression is more androgynous or masculine. So those three things are a little different. They don't quite align, but they're all valid because they're all part of a person. So it's all good. A totally different but related sense of self is sexual orientation or attraction. This is who we are physically, emotionally, or romantically attracted to. So if gender is personal on the inside, then sexual orientation is interpersonal because it's between people. So some examples. Lesbian is women attracted to women. Gay is men attracted to men, and gay is used as an umbrella term in the LGBTQ community. Like, for instance, my kids sometimes call themselves gay, or they have like a group chat on some social media thing and they call it the gay chat. Bisexual refers to people who are attracted to more than one gender. Pansexual describes people who their attraction is not based on gender at all. Queer is an umbrella term that is used in the LGBTQ community that is a reclaimed slur. So don't use this unless someone else self-identifies as queer. And even so, especially for cisgender straight people, you need to use it lightly and just be real careful. Straight refers to people who are attracted to only the opposite gender. So I am a woman, I'm attracted to men, so I am straight. So there are lots of other examples of all of these aspects of self, but these are the ones that are kind of the most common and the ones that you might hear about, or maybe in the news, or just people that you know. So if I got anything wrong, please correct me. I am always learning. I'm always educating myself. And speaking of that, I will give you some websites, some great websites of comprehensive glossaries and lists of these terms so that you can keep learning, because I am constantly educating myself and constantly learning. And if you have any other examples that you want to share, great. Put those in the comments. Fantastic. So that's Gender Vocab 101. I hope you've learned something. Keep educating yourself. And as always, love and support your kids. Thanks.